hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 7 all-new beach DIYs for you using items from the Dollar Tree. And if you haven't guessed, the theme today is seahorses. I love them. We're going to try to include them in every DIY. So the first DIY, we're going to use one of the Seahorse glass frames. Now these are new this year with the short living line. They're beautiful. I love them so much. I ordered a whole case of them. And there's also a mermaid and a sea turtle. Not that crazy about the frames, but check out how easy it is to remove it. I just used a pair of pliers, broke one corner off, and I was able to slide the glass out. Now, if you do this, be careful. Don't cut yourself on the edges of the glass. I want to try reframing it in one of the Dollar Tree 5x7 wood frames. These are new too, and I love them. They're really high quality. I'm going to go ahead and remove the glass, the staples, everything. I just want the frame because I want to frame that glass and I don't want it to have a back. Now I did know just by kind of looking at it that the seahorse and the glass wasn't going to fit perfectly in the 5x7 frame. As you can see, it's just a little bit too big, but you know what? We're going to be able to make it work anyway. Now I wanted to look like the seahorse is swimming in the ocean. And so I got some of this. It's a Krylon Sea Glass Sea Foam. And it's a spray paint. I would look for this everywhere. I was only able to find it at Hobby Lobby online. We don't have a Hobby Lobby, so you might be able to find it at yours. But I'll try to include a link below to the Hobby Lobby link that I ordered it from because it was way cheaper ordering it from Hobby Lobby than anywhere else I found it. So I sprayed a thin coat on, which gave me a very light bluish green tint, but not near as blue as I want it to be. So I'm going to go over it again. This time I went a little bit heavier. I did notice I got a little bit of streaking, so you're probably better off the thinner coats, the better. I got a little carried away with this coat, but I wanted to really bring out that like seafoam color. I think it's so pretty, and that's going to be on the back of the glass. So I'll still be able to light it up, show light through it, but it's going to tint it this bluish green color. So I haven't tried this yet with these, so I thought this might be the one to try it on. I want to try to light it up too, so I have some ideas for that as well. But I'm just trying to make sure that I got an even coat with that last coat since I did go kind of heavy and give it a quick dry, and it turned out really pretty. I'm really happy with it. Now, to frame it, I'm going to have to get a little bit creative. So I just lay it on the back of the frame like that. It overlaps just slightly on all 4 sides. Now you're just going to need something to frame it out with. I actually had some of these bamboo sticks. I actually get these on Amazon, but you could probably even use like popsicle sticks. You're just going to need something long and skinny because what we need to do is kind of make an extension to the frame to go back a little bit more so that we can attach the glass because there's not enough of an overlap to just glue the overlap down. It's just very, very minor. So I'm going to cut the bamboo sticks down with my miter scissors. It's really easy to cut with these if you turn it sideways. It won't cut anything flat. I have learned that from experience. So I'm going to go ahead and cut down a top and a bottom piece like that. I can attach those to the frame. I can also attach the glass to that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the bottom one. I'm just gluing it with hot glue, kind of making it kind of flush with the frame there, but leaving a little tiny lip. In that little lip, I put a little bit more hot glue in addition to what had kind of seeped out, and I just kind of sit my glass on that. I'm trying to be careful not to damage the back of that because it wasn't super dry. And then I do the same thing here with the top. So it's glued to those. It's kind of glued to the frame a little bit at that point. And I think it's going to hold. So let's go ahead and do the same thing here for the 2 sides. I love these little bamboo sticks. I ordered a huge package of these on Amazon, and I have been using them for a couple of years. They are really versatile, and you can make a lot of cool stuff with them. And they're very small, so I think they're going to be great for this application. So I do the same thing on the sides. I just put hot glue down first, And I'm kind of gluing it all together at once, all 3 pieces, by where I put the hot glue and then put my final piece down. Now, let me show you how this looks. Isn't that so cool with the blue tint? I love it. Now, I just need to find a way to make it stand up. And for that, I'm just going to use some chunky craft wood from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut it down a little bit. It was a little bit longer than it needed to be, and I have a saw, so why not? And I just cut it down, give it a quick sand, and that's going to be a perfect base. The chunky one is perfect. The only thing is the wood is a little yellow compared to the wood in that frame. I do want to leave it wood, but I'm going to have to tone it down. So I do that with some Beachcombers beige, I think this is. And I'm just going over the wood with a very thin coat of that tan color and then wiping off the excess with a paper towel. It's going to give me kind of a stain and take that yellow tone out of the craft wood so it matches the frame a little bit better in tone. I think that goes together way better. So let me give it a quick touch up. I think that looks pretty good though, and we can go ahead and attach it. Once I make sure that I have it really dry, we can glue it together. I do that by just putting hot glue on the bottom of the wood frame and centering it right on there, standing it upright. It's a great way to make it stand up without having to put a back on it because, of course, I want that frosted glass that we did with the sea glass to be transparent. Now, to light it up, you could use a candle, but I actually picked up one of these push lights from Dollar Tree, and I wanted to see how that would work. So I'm going to pop some batteries in there, and I can just sit it behind it like that, and it will light up my seahorse, and it turned out really cool. And it's really easy to turn on and off. So there is our seahorse glass. I love how this turned out. Let me show you how this is how it looks during the daytime. So the wood is very coastal. I love that bluish green tint in the background. And of course, the seahorse image on those is really pretty. And the base matches the frame, I think, way better without having to paint it another color. But this is how it looks with the push light on. Look how pretty that is, how it illuminates it and really makes it glow. Now you could do this with like the clear frosting spray too and get a similar effect, but I really like the blue tint to make it look like they're like under the ocean. So again, this is how it looks during the daytime from day, and this is how it looks in the nighttime. So it's kind of beautiful both ways. Hey, if you're enjoying today's video, don't forget to hit that like button. It always helps my videos do a little bit better here on YouTube. Okay, for the next DIY, I'm going to do something with these new signs they have this year. This is the Relax and Unwind signs, and I want to just kind of make a box with them. I always try to find creative ways that I can use these signs, and I thought I could make a planter with these. Now, they're not as small as I think they've been in the past. I think they're a little bit bigger, so it's going to make a pretty significant planter, but I'm going to need 5 pieces, 4 sides and 1 bottom. So relax and unwind. And so I'm going to I think I'm going to do the sand dollar on the front. I think that looks really pretty, but you could kind of pick your favorite word if you wanted to. I am just trying to get all of those pesky staples out of the back of the sign. I don't want to leave any of them on there if I can avoid it. Okay, they're all clean and ready to go. And then I wanted to still say relax and unwind, but we're going to have it kind of do that by wrapping it around the planter box. I did notice some of the paper kind of went over the edges of some of them. So I just tried to clean it up a little bit. Really easy to do with the sanding sponge, just to get any of that excess paper off. But I wanted to go relax and unwind and wrap like all the way around it. And then I'm going to do the end on the back as well with the other sand dollar that we have. So that's the reason why I picked up 2 sets of these signs. These are the new ones this year, but this would really work with any of the ones. Every year it seems they change these a little bit. And I'm using my square from the Dollar Tree to help me keep square on this, which is really important. I start with the first corner just by gluing the end and gluing it here to form a perfect 90-degree angle. That's not a super strong bond though, because the signs are pretty thin. They're solid, but they're thin. So I thought I'm probably going to have to reinforce that a little bit. And so I like to do that with the little tiny Jenga blocks from Dollar Tree. I think they work really well to make little braces, and you can kind of put them where they're out of the way. I'm going to start by gluing one right here. You're going to be gluing like the flat side to one side and the skinny side to the other. So on the bottom piece, I kind of alternate which one's going which way, if that makes sense. And I made that one flush all the way with the bottom, and then that can help us attach the bottom of the box when we get there. Now for the next side, I'm going to go ahead and start with my Jenga block to help me on a little bit. I can glue that and the side, and I'm going to go on and glue it 90 degrees just like I did the other side. And I already have the bottom piece on there, so I'm just going to go ahead and put my second brace in. I'm doing it a little bit from the top so that you can't see that from the top of the planter box. And we're going to make a really fun beachy seahorse themed floral arrangement with these. Now for this side, I'm just going to go ahead and attach all 4 blocks. So I attach 2 sideways and 2 on their edge there. And then that's going to help me glue everything together. I'm going to try to do it all in one shot by attaching the 4th sign, which is the other sign there to the back. So the other sand dollar. So it still says relax and unwind. And then I guess the other way it says unwind and relax. But that looks pretty good. I have it flipped upside down, and now I can just choose any of the signs. It doesn't matter. I'm going to have the unfinished side on the bottom just because that kind of makes sense to me. And put some glue on all 4 of my Jenga blocks and on the 2 edges that it's going to overlap. It's only going to overlap 2 edges just because of the way I kind of constructed it. I am going to go ahead and frame that out a little bit, though. That's going to make it a little bit more level in the bottom, but it's actually kind of fine like that. But that's what our planter box looks like at this point. It's super cute. I'm just going to give it a quick touch up here, make sure none of that paper is overlapping it, and we can keep decorating this. Now for foam, I'm just going to use Dollar Tree foam in there. It is a big box, but I think we can make it work. And I'm going to use some of the short living greenery. I tried to choose the ones with seahorses and the ones that have the green stems, not the brown stems. I ordered a whole case of those online too. I was lucky enough to find some of my stores as well with the short living line this year. Hopefully you were. And I just cut one of the long pieces down. I still need a little bit more though, and so I'm going to have to use part of another one to fill this up. They're going to be kind of shallow in there, but I think it's going to be okay. I don't think I really need to lift up the foam or anything since my box is so big there. Then I want to kind of frame it out. I probably should have done this before the foam, but I just wanted to use some rope along the tops to kind of give it a finished edge on the planter box. And I'm also going to run some rope along the bottom, which is going to kind of level out the bottom. If you remember before, not all of like the sides kind of match up down there. And so I'm going to start on the top. So I just do a bead of hot glue along that top of that sign and start the rope by gluing one side down at a time. And I'm going to do that all the way around, just continuing that same piece. It's going to kind of give you rounded corners, but that's better than cutting and having to cut it and have all these loose edges. But I just do that one all the way around, and I really think that it helped give it a more finished edge there for the top of the planter box. And now we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. There's kind of a lip here on the seahorse side for the way that I kind of built it. The front and the back is a little bit skinnier than the sides. And because I didn't do any like miter corners or anything like that. And then I can run this piece along the front sign, or I guess the side sign, this one across the front in that little lip. And then I'm going to continue that all the way around on the 4th side to finish this off. And it just gives it another little coastal touch. So that looks good. Just make sure all of your rope is glued down. You don't want any of that coming off. I made sure like my ends there are in the back, so they're not in the front. They're not super obvious. And I think that looks pretty good. So we can start filling it up, our little relax and unwind. Isn't it so cute? I really think that took it up a notch. Now the greenery, I'm going to use a little bit of moss. I have some of this like green reindeer moss. That looks great. Kind of looks like seaweed. I don't need a lot, just a little bit to cover the foam. And the most challenging part of this was just probably cutting the stickers off the greenery. But I really liked this one. I didn't have as many of this one as I have some of the others. But I think it's really cool. So I'm going to try to scatter those out. I have 3 of those, so I can do like 1 in each corner and then center kind of 1 there in the back. And since this is such a large planter box, I don't have to cut these down in size or anything like that. I can just place them right in there. So some of this greenery doesn't have seahorses on it. Some of them do. Some of them have seashells on them. So these are the ones with the seahorses. They're super cute. I want the seahorses to be visible, so I'm going to do them in the front. And I'm going to have one kind of taller than the other one. And then kind of have them like looking at each other. Like that. Kind of stagger them a little bit. And then I'm going to save the seahorses off these because I kind of need the greenery. And I can always reuse those. I love using those in DIYs. Those little seahorses are so cute. I've actually did a resin project with those a couple months ago. And they turned out so adorable. With the little seahorses sticking out of the resin. So I think that looks pretty good, but you know what? I think it needs a little bit more. It's, a big box. So I'm going to do 2 more of the seahorse picks, but again, I'm removing the seahorses and just using that for the greenery to help fill it out a little bit. And we're going to do like another one here in the front and maybe another one here in the back. I love these. They had these last year at Dollar Tree too, so I did have some left over, but again, I bought a whole case of these because I can use these year round with my coastal crafting. They are so cute, and the little seahorses are just adorable. But I did want to add a little bit of color, so I'm going to try adding some of this blue willow. I don't know if this is new or not. It's the first time I've ever gotten it, but it's really kind of messy, so be careful when you start working with it. The little things, like little pieces like to fall off on it. But what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of blue coral here and there just to bring in a little bit more color because that Shore Living greenery, all of it's all kind of the different shades of green. They're all pretty close. And I just wanted it to have a little bit of blue to bring out the seahorses on there. So I'm just cutting 1. I ended up only using 1. And I did like all 4 corners with some of the blue coral. And then I'm going to leave the last piece here in the middle taller. Since it's the very center, it can definitely be a taller piece. But maybe not that tall. So I'm going to cut this one down a little bit here before I place it back in there. And I was still wanting like a little bit more blue color even after I added the blue coral like that. So I think I'm going to try to paint the seahorses a little bit too to help them pop instead of that like white dusty color. I'm just going to distress them a little bit with this color. It's called Key West and it's really pretty shade of blue by Apple Barrel. And as you can see, I'm only distressing it, just bringing out little parts of the seahorse to kind of match that blue coral that we added to it. And I'm going to do the same thing here with my second one. And I think that really made them kind of stick out and stand out a little bit more than just kind of blend into the greenery like they did before. So here it is, our little DIY planter box. It's a nice large coastal display. You could put this just about anywhere. I think you would hold up fairly well on a porch if you had like a covered porch or something like that. I think I'm going to use mine inside, like in my entryway area. I think I have the perfect spot for this. But as you can see, it turned out super cute. This is how it looks all together. I really hope you enjoyed this DIY. Now the next one is super easy. I picked up a candlestick from the Dollar Tree, a blue and white one. I have a sand dollar left over from one of the sand dollar wind chimes from the Shore Living section at Dollar Tree this year. When I made my wind chime videos, I had extras. And I finally found the battery operated Shore Living candles. And of course, there is a seahorse one. And let me show you how cute this is. I love it. There's actually a couple different seahorses on it. Isn't this so cute? It's also got coral. Has batteries in there. What a great deal for $1.25, really. But I thought I could use that sand dollar as a part of the candlestick. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove the rope. It's kind of like a resin, but it's kind of feels like wood. I'm not sure how they make these. Some kind of manufactured wood. And I'm kind of seeing what's going to actually touch. There is an indentation on the back of the sand dollar. And then there's also an indentation on the top of the candlestick. So I have a little space there where I can put something to use to glue them together. So I'm going to use one of the little Jenga blocks from the Dollar Tree. I think that will work perfectly to fill the space in between the sand dollar and the candlestick to help me put it on there, because I want this to be the top of the candle holder where I can put the battery operated candle on top. Since it's battery operated, it doesn't matter that it has holes and stuff in it. I think it's going to work. The sand dollar, and I attach the Jenga block to it with just some hot glue. Also kind of finishing up the edges because it's kind of like a concave surface in there. And then I can just glue that to the candle holder. Since it's ceramic, I thought I should use some E6000 to make it a little bit more permanent. And I'm doing that around the edges, but on the middle with the actual Jenga block, I'm actually going to use hot glue there. So I have some quick hold, but this will help it last a little bit longer with the stronger E6000 glue around the edges. So hot glue on the Jenga block, and I set that down. It's kind of easier to do it upside down so you can make sure you get it centered on there properly while you still have a little bit of wiggle room. But this was so easy, and it makes the perfect top for a candle holder that's coastal. I love it. It's round, it's fairly flat, it's a really nice size, and it really took that candle holder up a notch, I think. So here is our little battery operated candle. Go ahead and flip that on. It fits perfectly right there on top. I told you this one was going to be really easy. That's all you have to do. Display your battery operated candle. And they do have these and other things besides seahorses. But of course, we're focusing on seahorses in these DIYs today because I think they're so cute. And this is how it turned out. Isn't that fun? I picked that up, that sand dollar, and I'm like, oh, I can make this into a candle holder. I don't know why. It just kind of made sense to me. But let me give you a view of it lit up to show you how beautiful this Dollar Tree Shore Living candle is. Now, my store just got these in. I know almost all the Shore Living stuff is gone at my store. All my stores have it to a tiny 3-foot section right now, but they did just get these in one of my stores. So keep checking. I try to keep checking because there's still new items coming out. Hey guys, have you checked out my website yet? It's craftybeach.net, and it's going to be where you can see all of my DIYs. So I just started it at Easter. If you go down, you're going to see different blog posts. If you click on one of the blog posts, you'll find a link to all of the DIYs I made in that video with a picture that you can then pin on Pinterest so you can remember to make it. If you scroll down to the bottom, you can find my YouTube video with the tutorial showing you how to make it. And I'm going to have everything by season. Right now, I just have Easter, some spring, and some beach on there. And I even have a link to my Amazon shop for the items that I recommend that I get on Amazon. And I even have a link to my Etsy shop. So you can check out my fun crafting printables. These are very popular. And some of my printable designs on there. So craftybeach.net. Be sure to check it out. I'm really excited about my new website. Okay, let's get back to the DIYs. This is one of the new signs this year. It is the shell. Now, you could do this with one of the ones from last year, but this one's a little bit more unique. I picked that up, and I also picked up one of the little wood crates from the Dollar Tree, and I thought we can make a little planter box out of these. So let me show you how I put this together. The first thing I don't need it to be a hanging sign, so I'm just gonna fill the hole for the hanger up with a little bit of spackle. Nothing crazy, just a little bit. And I'm going to kind of paint this in a different way than I would normally paint a Dollar Tree sign. Since it's got all of those openings on the shell, I didn't really want to have to go in and paint all of those because the paint pulls up. It can be a little hard. And I had some spray paint. This is called Sand Dollar, so it's going to give me kind of like an ivory look. And I thought if I spray painted it, it would be just way faster. So let me show. I'm only going to do like one coat. I don't care if it's really soaked with paint. I don't care if any of the wood like shows through a little bit. I'm totally fine with that. That looks coastal, right? So I went ahead and sprayed the shell with the sand dollar, making sure I didn't miss any areas. And since I already have the spray paint out and I do want it to match, I'm going to go ahead and spray paint the crate too. So it is definitely a quicker way to do it, but definitely a smellier way to do it. But a fun little trick if you have that or the Seahorse with all the different indentations and you want like a quicker way to paint them, spray paint is definitely the way to go. I just did the sides and edges on that you're going to be able to see. That ivory color, I guess it's called sand dollar color. And that is how they look. I think that was a way easier way than trying to get in all those little nooks and crannies on the shell. Now I do want to distress it a little bit with some blue. Bring some blue in. This is that Key West color. I'm really loving this color. And I'm just using a small brush. And what I'm going to do is just lightly distress all of the raised parts of the shell sign to kind of give it more character. I'm trying to use a small brush so I don't get like too much on the back of it where I painted it that I definitely want to leave that the white color. And so I just kind of do like one row at a time. And I don't want full coverage at all. I just want it to look distressed. So as long as a little bit of blue gets on it, I'm totally cool with that. And I'm going to do that for the entire shell. And I'm even going to do it like, of course, for the ones that go across here as well. To bring that out, I'm also going to distress the crate with that blue color. And I just wanted to do that to bring out the detail of that fun Dollar Tree Shore Living sign. I think this is the first time I've crafted with this sign this year. And then once I get it blue, I'm going to go back and distress it with some ivory. So I didn't want it to be too bold. I just wanted a little bit of blue distressing. And so that's why I go back and distress it with my original color. And that helps me to touch up any of the blue that I might have got on the back as well. And it gave it just a very coastal farmhouse feel in a very soft blue color. I think it looks really sweet. That looks pretty good. So now we can focus on the little planter box that we're going to attach to the front of the shell. And we're doing this all to display a fantastic Dollar Tree seahorse. I really love it. So again, I'm just using that tiny brush and just giving it a light distress with the blue. Nothing crazy. And I'm going to do that on all four sides where it's visible. If you get too much on there, don't worry about it. You can always take like a baby wipe. I always have a baby wipe handy when I'm crafting, especially when I'm painting, because you can kind of blend that in and clean up any mistakes before the paint has a chance to dry. So I think that looks pretty good, a pretty even level of distress. And then I kind of go back and distress that with a little bit ivory like I did the first time, so it'll correspond well with the shell sign. Now the shell does kind of fit down in there just a little bit. There's a little bit of an overlap. I think enough to attach it. So I'm going to put some hot glue right there where there is an overlap on the bottom of the shell and sit that inside the wooden Dollar Tree box to glue that on there. Now to make it a little bit stronger, I didn't want that part falling off. I just flipped it over and I'm actually just going to use my staple gun to put like one staple here in the back just to make sure that it is going to be nice and strong and the shell part doesn't fall off my planter box. Now that we have it all painted, I think it's ready to go. We can fill it up with some floral foam. These are the smaller little cubes from Dollar Tree, but still not quite small enough. I still had to trim them down a little bit. I like to use those fun noodle knives from Dollar Tree to cut them with. It works really well. And I just fill up my box with that. And again, using some reindeer moss makes some great seaweed to go on the top of my planter box. I love finding creative ways to use Dollar Tree signs like this to make something besides a sign. This is the little seahorse I was talking about. It's the metal yardstake. It's so pretty, and I love the way it's painted. So I only want it to be about this long. So I just take my pliers and I bend the yardstake all the way around, getting that like as tight as I can with my pliers, and then I can pull it back, go the opposite direction, get that as tight as I can get it, And if you go back and forth a couple of times, it will just break off the length that you need it. And I'm using some of that willow again from Dollar Tree. Again, I think this is new. It's the first time I've picked it up. I've got the glitter coral before, but this is not glittery. And I'm going to use a blue that's very similar to the Seahorse, but I didn't want it to all be blue. It kind of blend in together. So we're also going to do orange. I thought that would be fun. They also have yellow. That could be really pretty too. I'm just going to cut the little willow into individual branches. We're going to call it coral. And I am going to put like 3 here in the back, and then we can do like 2 here in the middle. That kind of makes sense, because I like to work with odd numbers like that. And then I can go in with the orange. It's going to give me a little pop of color, something different than the blue for sure. And I put one of those on each side. And we're going to put 2 of these in the back here as well. I'm not going to do the last piece because I want to save that area right there for the Seahorse yard stake. And I just put the yard stake down into the floral foam like that. This was really easy to DIY, and I think it turned out really cool. What do you guys think about our little seahorse in coral with a shell background? I think it's really fun. You could display this in any room you're doing coastal decorating, or it would be a really fun planter box for summer decor. But I'm glad that I added that orange. It's kind of an unexpected color, but I do use that color sometimes in my coastal decorating because it just kind of pops against all of the blues. Now check out the new seahorses they have this year. I was so excited about these. They're perfect and they don't need anything. But I did want to make a stand for them. So I picked up a pallet sign and a little square pallet box, and I thought I can make kind of a stand to display those on. Something that would look kind of like something you would find at a harbor or a dock or something like that. So I just removed the hanger from the back of the pallet because this is going to be the bottom of my stand. It's just going to kind of stand on these little 2 pieces. So I want to try to get as much twine as I can get off of there. Those staples are really in there for some reason. And just remove the sticker. That is ready to go. Now I wanted this to kind of just look like a crate, something that would be sitting around on a dock, right? And I'm going to have it upside down to provide a little riser. So I just removed the rope handle on that one, clean this one up a little bit, and then I kind of want to stain them a little bit just because the finish is so white and doesn't look like something that would actually be used. So I just want to give it a little bit of stain. And so I'm mixing, this is just Antique Wax by Waverly mixed with a little water. Actually way more water than Antique Wax by Waverly, just to give a very light stain for this. And I'm going to go over all of the slats here on the bottom. I love these little slat board signs. I always try to have a few of those on hand. They're great for crafting. And I'm going to give that same very light stain to the crates as well. This is going to soak in a little bit. It's just going to kind of make them look like real crates and less like brand new wood like they looked before. Just a little bit of color to those. That's what it looks like when it's dried. So as you can see, definitely very light stain. I am having to make sure that I get it good and dry over here on the right side because I want to glue this on so it doesn't fall off. So along the top edges of the little wood crate, I just do a bead of hot glue all the way around, and I'm going to glue it right over here. That's going to provide a perfect stage for one of my seahorses so I can display them at 2 different heights. I thought that would be really cute. So pretty easy. I also thought it would look really coastal to kind of cover the crates and the boxes up with a little fishing net. Now these are from the Target dollar spot. Dollar Tree's had these before, but I've had trouble finding them there lately. They're a little more expensive. They're $3 at Target dollar spot, but it's definitely a bigger bag. It's called a produce bag, and they have these there right now. And what I'm going to do is use that to make a fishing net. I think they make fantastic fishing nets for crafting. So I'm just going to go ahead and start trimming the netting away from the bag. I'm definitely not going to need all of it. I probably just need part of it. So I'm going to try to estimate kind of here what I need. I want to have enough that it kind of can sit on the tabletop as well. And so I just kind of go around and cut off enough netting to cover that to save the rest for another DIY project. And I want it to kind of look kind of like haphazard like that, just kind of laying across the like little crates at the dock. And then you can just kind of trim it down whatever shape you want your net to be. I like to kind of trim mine down, cut the little pieces of, I guess, twine off the edges there to kind of clean it up a little bit. And I don't want to have too much, so I'm going to kind of gather it up a little bit here on the back so it's a little bit tighter against those. And you can kind of wrap them around the slats like that as well to kind of make it one more piece. I'm not going to like really glue it or anything because I just want it to kind of look like it is laying on the crates to display the seahorses. And I was so excited about the seahorses. The first one I found at Dollar Tree was broken and I was so sad. I almost bought it, even with a broken nose or snout. So I can sit one down there. I can stick one at the top. And then for a little pop of color, I'm going to add some of these little starfish. I get these on Amazon. They are linked in my Amazon shop. And these are already blue, so that adds a little bit of color. They're like a molded, like resin starfish, but they're great for crafting. They're a perfect size. I'm going to glue one on the crate here, just like on top of the net, like that. And then I'm going to glue the other one over here, like just laying flat, like over here in the corner, just to give me a little bit of color on these. Now, they are kind of like all blue, so they look a little bit plasticky. So I am going to distress them just a little bit with a little bit of ivory, just to kind of make them more than one shade. So I just use a sponge to add a little white and wipe off any excess. It's going to give me that coastal farmhouse distressing that I love to use on my home decor. I'm going to do that on both of them. And the seahorses don't need anything. They are so cute. So you can kind of get an idea of what level of distressing that I did there for the crates. And I think this makes a really fun stand, something to display them on, and kind of adds to the coastal feel. And the seahorses are, of course, beautiful. Look at them. I was so excited by them. You know, Dollar Tree could sell like 20 times more of the shore living stuff here in Florida than they get in. I really wish they would drown us in inventory so that everybody can find these because they're so cute. But I like the boxes, the starfish, and the fishing net. I think that's fun. Now for the next DIY. I'm going to kind of turn this charger that I found at Dollar Tree the other day into like a wreath or a wall hanging. It's rather large and it's clear plastic, and I've never seen this one before. But I thought it would make the perfect like wreath. So what I'm doing is just removing that super sticky tag that was on the back of it, and I'm going to make a really fun display with the new seahorse sign this year. Now, I don't want it to be clear. I want it to look kind of blue. And since I'm really excited about my new spray paint, I'm going to try that on this one as well. I was trying to decide which side I wanted to paint, if I wanted to have the paint under it or on top. Again, I'm using the Krylon Sea Glass Sea Foam. I'm obsessed with this. If you can't find this, you could always do like the Mod Podge mixed with food coloring technique that I used in a recent video. That would work as well. I decided to do the top on the plate, which is going to be the back of my display. That way, if I hang it on my door, it'll be protected from the weather a little bit. So once I decide that, I'm just going to go ahead and start spraying this down with that beautiful like frosted blue-green color. I really wish you can get this on Amazon, but it's really expensive, which is why I bought that at Hobby Lobby. But I wish it was more readily available because look how beautiful that color is. It's so coastal. I love it. And spray that down. Once I get it dried, I did go over it with another thin coat to try to make sure I have good, even coverage. I want it to look like a seahorse in the ocean with that blue background behind it. So I just went over it with enough until I thought it looked pretty good. It was kind of bigger than my box, so I was trying not to get spray paint everywhere on my craft bench, but I just did a huge cleaning in my craft area, and it is pristine out there. I tell you, it's been about 6 months since I tidied that space up, and it was a chore. Now on the back, I kind of got like some overspray or something. It looks kind of crappy on the back right now, but you know what? We can clean that up. It was just a little bit of residue. So I cleaned that up, and because at first I was like, maybe I shouldn't have painted the back, but it looks way better now. I think it was just maybe a little bit of overspray back there. And so I have the charger like upside down, and then I want to attach the Seahorse to the front of it like that. And I want to border it to kind of cover up that metallic border with some of the nautical white rope from Dollar Tree. This is the thicker one. I think it's going to be long enough to go around it twice though, because I do want a nice chunky frame here. I'm going to start here at the bottom because the tail will kind of overlap the bottom, so it'll kind of cover where I start and stop with the rope. And then just kind of working one section at a time. On this outer row, I want to hot glue it where you can't see any of the charger. Have you guys seen this clear plastic charger? I was kind of surprised to find it at Dollar Tree the other day because I really don't think I've ever seen this one. But it is great for crafting, and it really came in handy for this DIY. Now I'm going to continue hot gluing all the way around. Once I get to the bottom, instead of cutting it, I'm just going to keep going with that same piece of rope. That way I don't have to kind of start and stop there. And I'm going to continue going all the way around, hot gluing that as I go. And that gave me a great border. I'm trying to keep it tight together. Another little coastal touch to go with the blue background and the seahorse that we're going to DIY for the front of this. And I absolutely love how this turned out. It's so cool. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to use it as a wreath for my front door or if I'm going to use it. I think I might just use it as a wall hanging in my house. It's so coastal and fun. This is the seahorse that we're going to attach to the front. It's kind of like the seashell signs this year where it's got like the two signs glued together with all the individual sections in there. So again, it can be a little tricky to paint, but what I'm going to do on mine is I'm actually going to stain it. We've already got all that blue color in the back of the sign, so I'm just going to mix some of the Antique Wax by Waverly with water to do that light stain again. And we're just going to stain it. And it works really well for this because it kind of soaks in the stain. So you don't have to worry about like the paint in the corners being thicker or making little dots in the corners. It's just kind of all going to soak in because it's so watery, as you can see. But again, I'm using a brush so I can get in all those individual parts to give it that light stain. It's going to give me kind of a driftwood feel. I don't want anything too dark because that would be too coastal. And if you find you get too much in any of the individual sections, you can just kind of flip it upside down, get that out so none of it like pulls up. I'm going to kind of dry it off very softly with a paper towel and try to make sure that my stain is kind of even. The tail was a little bit lighter, so I just added a little bit more, let that soak in a little bit. And I think that was a really easy way to take care of painting one of those, since they can definitely be tricky to paint if you're going to go in all those little interior sections of the seahorse. Now I'm going to try to use this as the hanger since my plate doesn't have a hanger. So I just made sure to make this nice and long. And if I need to, I can wrap that around the back of this when I attach it. I want my tail to go down and cover up where all of the rope starts and stops there at the bottom. So all the exposed areas of the rope looks perfect. And I'm just going to glue this section here to the back of our plate that we dyed green. That way it has lots of contact space. It's going to be nice and sturdy. Gluing the wood to the plastic. Now for greenery, I'm going to use some of the Shore Living greenery. This time I'm going to go with the ones with brown stems. If you have any of these, you know, half of them are green stems, half of them are brown stems. And they definitely have a different vibe and look, and I don't like mixing them together. So I think the seashell ones would be really cute. And the brown ones like this. I have some that have like some of the long leaves on there. Those are really pretty. That one right there. And I'm just going to kind of see what works. I think I need like 2 of those with the long leaves and like maybe 2 of these with the seashells. They also have the ones with the seahorses. You could use those as well if you wanted. but I think I'm just going to try to stick with the shells. So that's the one with the seahorse that's brown. And I want to kind of like fill it in, kind of like a wreath, having all the greenery like coming from the bottom, but also looking like a bed of seaweed for our cute little seahorse. So I thought that the easiest way to do this would be to just dismantle these. They are all put together at the bottom with like a floral tape. So you can kind of rip it and then you get like the wired pieces that are individual that you can kind of go around the arc of your wreath, which is what I did. I'm just gluing the metal tip down like into the rope area underneath the seahorse, but also gluing the greenery to the plate. So when this is hanging on the wall, the greenery doesn't like fall out at you at all. I definitely want that to stay in place. Now I want to use about the same amount of greenery on each side of our seahorse. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the same place though, just kind of whatever works. But this is kind of like, this kind of looks like seagrass. This is pretty cool. So I definitely thought that would look really cool with a seahorse. Now this next arrangement has like a really long leaf that is really cool. It's kind of like jagged. It looks like something you would definitely find in the ocean. I'm going to glue the wire down and then glue that giant leaf down to that, kind of going up the sides of the seahorse. I'm going to do the same thing here on this side. And as you can see, even though I'm adding the same piece to each side, I'm not doing it in the same order. I don't really want it to be symmetrical. I just kind of want it to look like an underwater, like kelp forest or whatever. I guess not kelp, seaweed forest. And some of this greenery has like all different kinds of pieces. For this one, I took it apart in like 3 different kinds of pieces that it has. I'm just going to scatter those pieces around. I'm going to try to use everything if I can. Even some of the tiny pieces, I can have them kind of popping up from behind the tail here. You know how seahorses like to wrap their little tails around seaweed stuff to hold on to? And so I kind of want to give it that vibe. And some of the smaller pieces here towards the top where you can see them a little bit better. And as you can see, there's even like a little bit different coloring in some of these pieces. Like these are a little bit lighter. And I think that looks nice, contrast against all of the green. Just gluing those in place. Now what I have left are the seashells. They are like on wires, which is kind of cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave them on wires because that kind of makes sense, right? I'm going to kind of put that down in the greenery arrangement we did, but also kind of glue the shell down. It's kind of heavy. I don't want that sticking out too much. There's 2 different sizes. This is like the large, like cone shaped shell. We're going to do one of those as well by trying to glue the wire down in there and then also gluing it to the plate itself. We're going to do the same thing here on the other side. That's a smaller shell. And then we're going to do a larger one. The wire is fairly thick on those, but I didn't have any problem cutting those down to size. I was just using the floral scissors from Dollar Tree. I really love those things. I've had them forever and they work really well. And I thought maybe a few more. So I'm going to do 2 of the small shells and 1 of the large shell on each side of the seahorse. And I'm just going to save the other 2 that I have because I think that's enough. So gluing that last one in place, doesn't this look so cool? I'm really loving that seafoam frosting. It's so pretty. Now to make it hang properly, I'm using my long hanger and I'm going to attach it to the back of it by doing another knot here and gluing that knot to my actual plate just to make it hang better because otherwise it was not going to hang flat against my wall. And I still have enough of a hanger left to hang this with. And let me show you how it turned out. I think the Dollar Tree seahorse stained that very light color brought out that great wood grain. And the combination of that with that blue background, the rope looks coastal, and then of course all that shore living greenery. I'm obsessed with it. I'm so glad I decided to order a case of it online because it's always hard to find in my stores. But I think it turned out really fun. What do you think? Okay, for the next DIY, I picked up a couple of these wind chimes from Dollar Tree Shore Living line this year. And I'm going to try to make a little jingle like mobile. So I'm gonna use two of them. They have seahorses, so we're staying with the seahorse theme. And I kind of wanted to make a fun like little jingler for my door to my garage. So that's where I'm gonna display mine. I want the seahorses, of course, but also I'm also gonna keep a starfish and a seashell, and then I just picked up an old piece of driftwood from the beach. I thought I could organize this where the seahorses are one color of blue, the starfish is one color of blue, and the seashell is a different color of blue. So we're going to use a total of 4. And of course, we want the little jingle bells. They totally look coastal as well with that galvanized metal. So we're going to be able to hang those on there as well. And I have a few extra pieces. I used these previously to make coastal wind chimes for my Florida room. If you haven't checked out that video, you should. It's really fun. And so here is how we're going to do the 3 different colors of blue. I'm just using one of those sponge daubers from Dollar Tree and going over my first one with that light blue and kind of rubbing that in. I don't want a thick paint on there. I do want some of the wood to be able to shine through. And since it's a mobile, you know, they're going to get flipped around as you open and shut the door. And so you have to paint the back as well. So keep that in mind. Now switching colors, we went from Cloudless to this color is Key West. We're going to do this more turquoisey color for the starfish. And the great thing about this is since these were like set up as wind chimes already, they already have all the holes drilled in them exactly where you need them to be. And you don't have to fill in any of those holes if you were using these in another way. And then my last color, it's like a Caribbean blue, and I'm going to do that for both of my seahorses. Again, just kind of wiping off any of the excess paint, flipping them over, and painting the other side as well. And I was kind of going for almost like an ombre look, if you will. Like starting with darker blues and working your way down to lighter blues as you get to the bottom of the mobile. You could also use this as a wind chime. It'd be really cute for that as well. If you didn't get enough ideas in my my video of 12 the other day. Now I'm also distressing them with ivory just to give them that coastal touch that I love so much. Nothing major, just a light dry brushing all over, just working in one direction with ivory acrylic. And I think that looks pretty good. Kind of softened them up a little bit, right? Now we can go ahead and start putting this together. So let me clean up my mess and we can start stringing them along. I'm going to do the starfish and the shell in the center. So I just take some Dollar Tree twine and we're just going to string it through our starfish. I don't think I need to knot it or anything. I think they will kind of stay in place with just the twine. And then I'm going to go behind this shell here. And then I'm going to kind of tie it off here. Instead of like a knot, at the bottom, I'm just going to kind of put my twine through again to kind of close it off with a little bit of a friction knot, kind of, if you will. And then I'm just going to tie the twine to the center of the driftwood at the top to dangle down. Then we'll have a seahorse on both sides like that. And then in between, I want to do the bells. They have a wood bead on there. I'm just going to go ahead and leave the white wood bead on there. I think that looks cool. And I want it to be kind of like that. So it's like shorter on the sides and longer in the middle. So I went ahead and tied this one to another piece of twine just because I wasn't planning on leaving that on the twine, but I did. So it wasn't quite long enough on that one, but I think this one's long enough. I'm just trying to make sure that they are the same length like that. And before I tie it off, and just double knotting that to make sure that they stay in place when they're jingling away. Now for the seahorses, I'm going to go here through the bottom. Again, the bottom one I go through twice to kind of tie it off because there's only one piece on this side. Then I can have that tied off to the top of my driftwood. And you can use a stick if you don't have any driftwood. Just something kind of old is going to give you that driftwood feel. We're going to do the same thing here for the seahorse on the other side. Just clamping that off on the bottom, cutting off the excess twine, and then tying that to the top to dangle down. Trying to make sure it's the same length as one on the other side. And then I just need to make a hanger to hang this on the door. I'm going to use more twine and just knot that off on each side. Simple enough to make a little hanger. And I'm going to hang mine on my door, but you could totally use this as a wind chime as well. Or you could even use this as a mobile, just hanging on your wall. It's super beachy and cute and a fun way to DIY with those little kits. Those came in a little bit later at my stores too, the wind chimes. And that is how it looks. I love all the different shades of blue combined with the bells and the driftwood. This is what it looks like hanging on my garage door. I think it's fun that kind of jingles. We'll see if the rest of the family thinks it's fun or annoying. But I thought that would be a fun place to put some chimes. Let you know when somebody's coming in from the garage, right? But I think it turned out really cute. It was really easy to make. Okay, you've made it all the way to the final reveal of all 7 of our Dollar Tree Seahorse DIYs. I really hope you liked this video. Be sure to comment your favorite Seahorse DIY in the comments below or just come say hello. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd really appreciate it. Enjoy the final reveal.
For better days to come and carry us like wind in our sails. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore. 7 years now on this boat, and we all know where we belong. Just wait. For our home to show on the horizon, soon we'll be there. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore when we can't read the sky. We just sail with the wind that we've got. And when we're drowning in doubt, just keep on believing. We are dreamers of the shore.
Thank you for making it all the way to the end of today's video. That always helps. And I also want to give a huge thank you to all of my Crafty Beach Bum members for supporting my channel here on YouTube. Thank you to Karen O'Haron, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Tracy Knight, Nancy Warner, Julie Miller, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Maria Grace, Donna Schreiner, Sandy C., and our newest member, Debbie DeLay, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support here on YouTube. If you would like to be a member, all you have to do is hit the join button below. It's $4.99 a month. You can cancel anytime, and you're going to get early ad-free access to my videos here on YouTube. Now, if you'd like more coastal crafting, I have just the video for you. Click on this video right here to go to that video right now. Until next time, happy crafting.